Welcome back, everybody. I'm going to show you some video right now. This was the scene February 3rd, about 2 weeks ago. New Hampshire Senator Judd Gregg accepting the nomination as Commerce Secretary in Obama's cabinet. Now, this was a highly unusual move. Gregg is a well-known Republican and a fiscal conservative. Well, this week, Gregg said after further thought, he did not think it was the right fit and withdrew his name for Commerce Secretary. The president saying he was surprised by this move. Here is some of the press conference Senator Gregg held after the announcement.
There was no light bulb moment. I struggled with this, and I will continue to struggle with this, I suspect, for the rest of my career, because I did not really handle this the way that I usually handle issues, which is definitively and quickly. I made a mistake. I should have focused sooner and more effectively on the implications of being in the cabinet versus myself as an individual doing my job.
Senator also saying he may not run, and then he said he would not run for his Senate seat in 2010. There's some question about that right now. Here to talk about this today is Fergus Cullen, the former chair of the New Hampshire GOP party. Thanks for coming in today.
You bet.
First of all, let me get your reaction. This surprised a lot of people. What was your reaction when you heard about it?
You know, we've all had a friend who got engaged to someone, and we heard about the engagement with mixed feelings. We didn't think this would work out, and we sort of might have, in our heart of hearts, hoped that the thing would fail and that they wouldn't end up meeting at the altar. And when we hear that the wedding's been called off, we meet that not with sadness but with relief. And I kind of feel that way about what happened. The nomination of Senator Gregg for Secretary of Commerce really never made political sense from the beginning. It's great that both parties considered it, that is, say, President Obama and Senator Gregg, and nearly went through with it. But I think in the end it just wasn't going to be a good fit.
But wasn't there some thought that this could have been a political bridge, if you will, between the two parties, headed up by Senator Gregg? Wouldn't that be a good thing, I suppose? Sure,
but you know, commerce deals with fiscal matters, economic matters, matters that really have a lot to do with core philosophy. And Judd Gregg has always been a mainstream conservative Republican, and this is not like, say, with respect to the other departments, Department of Transportation or Agriculture or Interior, that really don't have a lot to do with philosophy, where people of different parties can still execute the jobs and disagree on things outside of the department. If you're a conservative Republican joining a liberal Democratic administration, you know you're going to disagree philosophically on all sorts of things.
Now, he knew that when he made the decision originally. Do you think he just looked at this federal stimulus package and said, you know, maybe this isn't for me? Do you think that was a major factor in his decision?
Well, a lot of Republicans have deep concerns about this stimulus bill that we're going to end up wasting $800 billion of taxpayer money without getting anything in return for it. So a lot of Republicans have deep concerns about this stimulus package, and perhaps now Senator Gregg will be in a position to speak out against it.
Do you think this signals a message that maybe there isn't going to be that much bipartisanship up on Capitol Hill, that the two parties won't be working together as much?
Well, we'll see. I mean, listen, President Obama is my president too. We don't want him to fail, but we're going to support him when he's right, and we're going to oppose him when he's wrong. And on this stimulus package, for example, which has far too much waste, not a lot of actual real stimulus, we've got grave concerns that this is a terrible disservice, not only to taxpayers today, but to our kids and grandchildren down the road. So we'll support him when he's right, but we'll oppose him when he's wrong.
Senator Gregg will now go back to being a senator, a very valuable seat, obviously. He said he probably is not going to rerun in 2010. Is this seat vulnerable? Is this going to be one that the Democrats are going to be able to sweep in and grab up?
Well, you know, this is a seat that is going to be a competitive election. Republicans' #1 choice would be for Senator Gregg to stay in the Senate and to seek re-election. If he's reconsidered one recent option, I hope he'll reconsider this as well. But we have been preparing for the possibility that he would not be on the ballot in 2010. There are a number of people who are testing the waters and making calls and thinking about it now on the Republican side. It's really, and on the Democratic side as well, of course. It's going to be an open seat that attracted a great deal of attention last year when there was a U.S. Senate race here. So I know both parties are going to be fully engaged in this as well.
Do you think there'll be phone calls right now, maybe from people like yourself, pressuring him to maybe run again for his seat?
Well, I think we're going to give everyone time to catch their breath on this. But again, I hope it's something that he'll reconsider. But he had signaled that he wasn't going to be running again. And yesterday or this week, he also said that that continues to be his plan. So, but this is a chance for political entrepreneurship among Republicans and Democrats. Let 1,000 Republicans bloom as people think about running for Congress, running for governor, running for U.S. Senate. And that's a great chance for new people to come forth as well.
Can you throw out some names right now of Republicans who we might see lining up in a possible primary for this seat?
Well, some names of people who are being talked about favorably in Republican circles certainly include somebody like Sean Mahoney, a Republican National Committeeman and business person from the Seacoast. Also, Manchester Mayor Frank Ginta. A lot of people would like to see him continue his service to a broader audience in New Hampshire than just Manchester. And I think there'll be some new names as well, people that we haven't heard of, who will be testing the waters and making their case.
What about an older name, John Sununu? Do you think this is maybe a call for him to run again?
Well, if Senator Gregg indeed vacates the seat, I think certainly Senator John Sununu would be everyone's #1 draft pick. And I also think he has something of a right of first refusal on the nomination. He has certainly been keeping a low public profile over the last couple of months, but will probably have to make his future plans known within the next couple of months.
Now, Senator Gregg said he made a mistake in all of this, and he certainly was in the national spotlight. Do you think this hurts his legacy at all? It goes back, as he mentioned, 30 years in politics. Does this hurt his legacy at all?
You know, one decision or one incident does not color an entire career. He has served the state in so many different capacities over 3 decades. And I suspect that upon reflection, most people will say, you know, this is a good thing. We get to keep our senator, whom we elected 4 years ago, for his full term, and he continues to be that independent voice for New Hampshire in the Senate. So I don't think it hurts. And the fact that Senator Obama felt well enough about Senator Gregg to extend the offer, that he was that kind of a Republican who would put service to his country above partisanship, is certainly something that speaks well to him as well.
Do you think at all it was a factor that 2010, that race could be pretty tight, that maybe he was like, well, I'm not ready for a close race again, maybe I'll bow out? Do you think that was at all a factor in his decision? You
know, there are several other Republican senators who chose to retire and announced their retirements, and Senator Gregg was not daunted by that and was prepared to serve again. So I don't think that was a strong consideration at all.
All right, Fergus Cullen, thanks for coming in and talking about this. That wraps up Close Up. Enjoy your Sunday.